Hey guys, it's Sandy. So I want to show you something that could come in very handy for you. So I think it's really important to know skills in life, and this one is how to make bread. This is going to be the simplest bread that you've ever made. It's a crusty bread. It's a no-knead bread. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it takes 3 basic ingredients. You're going to need flour, salt, and yeast, and then water. So 4 ingredients total, but water you don't have to go buy at the store unless you actually buy, water that is purified. But it's really good to eat. It's delicious. It's so much better than the breads that we buy in the store with tons of ingredients in it. This is something that anybody can make if you can just buy some flour, salt, and yeast. So let me show you how quickly this comes together. Now I have an unbleached flour here. This is not actually the normal flour that I use. I actually use a fresh milled flour now because I had learned from Sue Becker the amazing benefits of fresh milled flour. So I have started milling my flour so they get all those great benefits of all the vitamins and the protein and everything it has in it. But that might not be an option for you. This is the way I used to do it. Is I buy this unbleached flour. Yes, it's still enriched. It's not the very best thing ever, but it's better than other options. You might even get an organic flour if you want something. If you're on a budget and you're just trying to get by, just get some flour. This still only has 4 basic ingredients. So you're not buying bread that has all these ingredients in the store, and you can make it very, very cheap. That's the thing. This will sustain you. It's a good carbohydrate to sustain you. When I opened this up, I had ripped up the bag, so I put it in this bag. So I've got 3 cups of flour in here. You're going to be surprised just how quick this comes together because I'm telling you, there is nothing to this. So I'm going to take 1/2 teaspoon of yeast here. This is an instant yeast. You can use instant or active yeast in this recipe, but this is what I'm using. So I just buy the blocks at Sam's Club. I put them in the freezer so they keep a long time, and then I just take some out and I keep this in my cabinet. When I need more, I fill this back up. So 1/2 teaspoon of instant or active yeast, and then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. You've got to have salt. Salt gives flavor to things. Now I do want to put it on opposite sides just so the salt doesn't kill the yeast. I've never had it happen even when I've mixed it together, but that's what people say to do. I'm using real salt. This is my favorite ever of the salts. This is great. Comes from Utah, from an ancient underground seabed. Use whatever salt you have. Again, there's no judgment as far as trying to be healthy if you are just barely getting by and you need just to learn how to make bread, or if things get really tough in our world and money gets even tighter and you need to just make bread. Just buy salt. Get salt, get yeast. Yeast is cheap. Get a bag of flour. And then to this, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of a warm water. And that's it. It already came together. So let me just get a fork out of here and stir this together, and you're going to have a shaggy looking dough. Now, if you're trying to learn how to bake bread and you want to get into the healthier version of the wheat flour, you just buy wheat berries, and I would suggest that you watch Sue Becker because she has amazing information about how to start baking bread for health. Because the store-bought bread that we are buying is not for health. But if that's not an option and we're just trying to get by and make it, just buy some flour. So look at this. It's all come together already. Why I'm showing you how to bake bread is 1, because you need to learn skills. 2, because if you make your own bread, it is much healthier for you and it also tastes much better. And 3, if times would get tough, then you need to know how to make some bread. And then let me throw a 4 in there as far as if you really want to get into the health benefits, then learn how to mill your own wheat berries. It's simple to do. I started out by doing mine in the NutriBullet because I didn't have a grinder, so I didn't know how to do it. I started that way. It worked. But now I have a grain mill and it works even better. Okay, see that dough? It's shaggy, sticky. That's how it's supposed to be. All you do is mix that up, and now I'm just going to leave it on the counter. And now watch this. All I am going to do is cover this right here with a piece of saran wrap and then place a towel over it. If you don't have saran wrap, just get your towel kind of wet and then just place this right over there. And I'm just going to let it sit on my counter for the next 8 to 24 hours. So it's 6 a.m. and I got up and I'm going to show you how to do this bread. Look at all the bubbles. It has risen to the top. That's a little bit of olive oil on top because I had sprayed the saran wrap. It was rising so quickly I didn't want it to stick if it hit the top, but it did not. Now I am going to just get it out and form it. I do want to show you this. I did do one full wheat just so you could see a second variety and you can see all the bubbles where it's risen also. Now all I'm going to do is put some flour on the top and some flour on my clean surface, and then you're just going to pull it out. Just take your fingers, have some flour on your fingers, and you just go around and loosen it from the sides of the bowl, and it's just going to flop right out. And then just with some flour on your hands, again, this is all the kneading that you are going to do. You just pull it and then fold it over, pull it and fold it over. You might do that 5 or 10 times. That's all it needs done. And then you're just going to form it into a ball. So just put it on the floured surface and kind of take your hands and form it into a nice ball. You're going to then put it on the parchment paper. I did already clean that bowl that I had used, and I'm just going to pick up the parchment paper and put it in here for a second rise. So the second rise is going to be about 30 minutes while I wait for the oven to heat up. So while I let my bread rise for 30 minutes, set your oven to 450 degrees and then take your Dutch oven and put it in the oven with the lid on, and you want to let it get hot. Now if it takes your oven less than 30 minutes, you're just going to have to wait because you want to give your bread at least 30 minutes to rise. So I did put both of the bowls of bread on the oven just to keep it in a warmer spot so it can rise a little quicker. So I actually got busy doing something else and left it more than 30 minutes, but that's okay, just so it gets at least that 30-minute second rise. Now I just took my very hot Dutch oven out of the oven, and you want to make sure you have protection for your hands. Take the lid off. I am going to use some flour. This is rice flour. You can use cornmeal, rice flour, just some regular flour. I like to put this in before I put my bread in because it kind of gives a barrier, a little bit of an insulated layer so that the bottom of the bread doesn't get real brown. And then all you do is lift up the whole thing, put the lid back on. We're going to bake this for 30 minutes and then we're going to take the lid off and bake it for another 15 minutes. So what that lid does is it traps the moisture in and just helps it bake better. And then we're going to take the lid off to make it real crusty. So I wanted to show you this way also by using a loaf pan in case you don't have a Dutch oven. So again, just put a little bit of flour in the bottom and then lift the whole thing out. The bread will not stick to the parchment paper. It's going to slide right off, but you need to put some kind of a lid on. So I just use another loaf pan and put it right on top, and that's going to trap that moisture in there for it to bake better. And now it is done. So 30 minutes with the lid on, 15 minutes with the lid off. If you like it crustier, then cook it just a little bit longer. Now, I forgot to score it, meaning that you just take a knife and cut it right down the middle before you bake it. But this is what happens if you don't. And you can see both of the loaves, and now you just need to let them completely cool on the countertop. After it's cooled down some, you can cut it. The white bread is always going to have a better rise. Look at that crumb. Wheat bread is going to be more dense. They both taste delicious. So it's water, salt, yeast, and flour. That's it. No additives, much healthier for you. And also you can make a bunch of it for hardly any money. So I hope this was helpful. If times get tough, do this. If you're looking for a healthier alternative, do this. It's really easy. And until next time, I'm out.